Okay, so this week was the 20th anniversary of Raw, so I figured I'd wear the first wrestling t-shirt I ever bought. This is the old school DX. The back says, WWE, WWF on it. So we'll get right into it. Beginning with Vince McMahon, Big Show, and Del Rio. I guess the Del Rio face turn is in relatively full effect. It's really easy to get him over when you're in Houston, Texas. The fact they then threw confetti on him and tried to goad him into a match, not bad. I did like seeing Del Rio hit a Hurricane Rana and then a right Enziguri. Made me initially think, you know what? Del Rio Jericho would probably be a really solid match. All in all, not a bad opener. Would have preferred to have seen a match, but you get what you can. The match between Barrett and Orton, I liked it. This did kind of show this really bizarre trend that not both guys got intros. Nice back and forth, I liked it. Barrett gets a bullhammer, 1, 2, 3. Good match, I enjoyed it. Ironically, for the 20th anniversary, they did lots of flashbacks. I was hoping, since they were in Texas, maybe Austin could have shown up. Maybe HBK could have shown up. Maybe The Undertaker could have made an appearance. Maybe Triple H could have made an appearance. Maybe they could have seen if Goldberg wanted to show up. There's a whole host of people who were part of the 20 years of Raw. And we first got Mick Foley, who was then about to be attacked by the Shield, who got saved by the combination of Ryback, Orton, Sheamus. Okay. Seeing The Rock and Foley interact was good. I liked that. That worked really well. The Miz and Flair. So Flair was part of Miz TV. It was decent. Again, they got to do another little clip montage. And Cesaro came down. And Cesaro then kind of got jumped by Flair as well as The Miz. And it worked pretty well. Miz put him in the figure 4 with the tutelage of Flair. I liked it. I think those two, if you watch Main Event, you know that Miz and Cesaro have a nice war of words going on. It's going to build slowly into it should be a pretty solid feud to really help get Cesaro entirely cemented as an upper mid-card guy. They talked with Brodus Clay discussing what CM Punk said the week before. I was shucking and jiving. And it was good to see Brodus Clay be like, you know what, I don't do this to get paid, I do it because I like doing it. It's what I was born to do. It was nice, it made sense. Those two guys then had a match. And it was good to see Brodus Clay throw out more of his suplexes, have more aggressive style. He can still do the song and dance, but he actually can get it done in the ring. If you watch some of his indie stuff, he's like a bigger version of Taz. So a solid wrestler when it comes to the grappling aspect. Punk got the better of him, hit the Anaconda Vice, and got a submission, which was good. I do like seeing people throw out other moves. I do think most wrestlers do need a pin move and a submission move. It allows for a lot more entertainment to go on during the match. Daniel Bryan and Kane had their 4-month follow-up. I know 4 months make no sense at all. Everyone has a third of the year follow-up for their anger management classes. And it was a pretty decent little segment. Team Rhodes Scholars showed up. Damien Sandow kind of ran on Dr. Shelby, which then led to a little bit of a brawl, which then led to 2 singles matches. Kane absolutely destroyed Sandow. And then later on the night, Cody Rhodes was absolutely owning Daniel Bryan. Then out of nowhere, yes lock or no lock or label lock, whichever term you want to call it, snatched him up, Cody in that, and it was done. So, most of the matches, ironically, were kind of squash matches. I think at this point in time, the longest match was probably Orton Barrett. Second longest match would have been Brodus Clay CM Punk. Eve took on Caitlyn with the Divas belt on the line. If Eve were to lose via counter disqualification, Caitlyn would become champion. Caitlyn, of course, is a Texas native. As this match is beginning. Somebody has a sign that says restroom break, and it is in full view of the cameras. This match was okay by Diva standards. You know, the concept bring up how Eve has this great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. My first thought was, to make her stand out, you have her be a highly aggressive submission specialist who's also the Divas champion. You make her be that dominant heel. And then you have somebody who actually has to really step up their game to defeat Eve. Very much how I wish Beth Phoenix would have been the powerhouse diva who would have, you know, ran roughshod over the division for several months, and then it would have taken some sort of, you know, either triple threat match to strip over the title, something else, as opposed to having her lose to Kelly for like 6 months in a row. This match has some decent back and forth. You know, Kaitlyn hit her strong reverse DDT finisher. Eve hit her spinning neckbreaker finisher. Both got kicks out. Kaitlyn hit her gutbuster. Eve rolled out of the way, rolled out of the ring. Then she became Wonder Woman, and pretty much no-sold it. If John Cena becomes Superman, Eve has to become Wonder Woman. Or Power Girl. Take your pick. Kind of no-sold it. Threw Kaitlyn over a barricade, thinking she was going to win by count-out. Kaitlyn slithers back into the ring, she turns around, and just gets gored by Kaitlyn. I was like, good. I wanted to see some sort of great, you know, takedown. Or, with her Texas native, a stunner would have sufficed. But she gored Eve, became the new Divas champion, much to the delight of the 10 people who were still watching the match. And then Eve quit via Raw Active. Yeah, so... one of the big matches they were pushing towards was Dolph Ziggler-John Cena in a steel cage match. Alright, but before we got there, over the top rope challenge with 3MB taking on Sheamus. And Heath Slater won. That's right. Heath Slater defeated Sheamus in over the top rope challenge. That's okay. While Heath Slater was celebrating on top of Drew McIntyre's shoulders, Sheamus attacked Drew and then hit a bro kick onto Heath Slater, who was still kind of on Drew's shoulders, and then another bro kick to take out Drew McIntyre. Kofi Kingston had an awesome match. Oh wait, no he didn't. Now to the main event. You're probably thinking, so there really weren't any really huge guest stars. The matches were okay. It felt like a decent Raw, but not a decent 20th anniversary of Raw. So I get to the steel cage match between Dolph Ziggler and John Cena. My thought was, if at any point in time during this feud, Ziggler deserved a clean victory, this was the match. No, John tries to escape. Big E Langston grabs his foot, preventing him from escaping. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. John Cena tries to escape the cage, almost gets over, then Big E Langston swinging a chair. Zigzag by Dolph, kick out on Cena. Super kick by Dolph, kick out by Cena. Sleeper hold. And John is trying out the cage with sleeper hold on. Doesn't do it. He goes for the cage. Big E Langston slams a door in Cena's face. 1, 2, still kick out. AJ tries to climb into the cage for some reason, which then makes Big E Langston get in the ring. He inevitably gets hit by the Money in the Bank briefcase. Dolph turns around, AA 1, 2, 3. So, aside from beating Cena at the TLC pay-per-view for the Money in the Bank briefcase, he's just gotten demolished twice by Super Cena. So, unless the briefcase is on the line, I think Dolph has had quite a few losing feuds. It's going to be bizarre to try to make him seem credible enough to beat Del Rio and become champion. And then we had the Rock concert. Yes, the 20th anniversary of Raw ends with The Rock playing music. His song about Paul Heyman, decent. That was pretty good. He then calls out Vicky Guerrero, who yelled at him earlier while he was talking with Foley. And he tears her apart. Probably, my face was hurt, that's how much I was laughing during, because it was a really solid segment. And then he called out CM Punk. It was decent because CM Punk didn't say anything. They then kind of ran and kind of tackled each other, did like the whole rolling around thing until the ref separated them. And that's how Raw went off the air. So a decent Raw, like a nice build-up, because in less than 2 weeks in the Royal Rumble match, a nice build-up for that, good job with that. It really seemed like it needed a lot more people to show up. You know, there was no Lita, there was no Trish, there was no Molly Holly, or even Jazz, no Edge. You know, they didn't even have Christian show up, or Mark Henry, both currently somewhat injured. You know, the whole host of they could have had show up for this. And you got Flair and Foley, who have shown up before. It was really missing that, like, the Raw 1000 feel, where people were showing up left and right, and you had little vignettes and little, like, oh, awesome moments. This one didn't have it. Yeah, the background things were kind of nice, but it really seemed to miss those couple of really good surprise moments that would have really, really solidified the 20th anniversary of Raw.